everyone, and thank you so much for joining us on the weTHRIVE podcast, where we share stories from entrepreneurs from around the world. My name is Casey Clark, and I am the Chief Growth Officer and founder of C. Clark Consulting and your podcast host. And today I'll be interviewing Kate Palker, who is the owner of Pearly Kate Photography. So thank you so much for joining us, Kate.
Hey, thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
I grew up in New York, in Long Island, near the beach. I love the beach. Currently, I'm visiting my parents in South Carolina, so I'm really in my happy place down here. And I have a family. We live in Frederick, Maryland. We have a studio in downtown Frederick, and I have a 2.5-year-old son and 2 little dogs. So.
Awesome. I love it. It's been so great watching your son just kind of grow up over the years. So as you know, the podcast is called weTHRIVE, and I have personally watched you, thrive over the years and really grow into your profession. So when you think of the word thrive, what exactly comes to mind for you?
I think what comes to mind is finding the good and it being a perspective, because I think you can be in the same situation and just have a different heart or a different perspective. So I keep hearing the word like striving or thriving, and it's like, where's my heart? So I feel like when I'm in a place of peace or a place of seeing the good more than I see the bad, that tends to be a place of thriving for me. That's the first thing that comes to my mind.
I love that. The mindset is so important. So when you have been thriving personally or professionally, what are some obstacles that have kind of prevented you from seeing the good in things?
Trying too hard, honestly. That wasn't in my notes, but that's the truth. So trying too hard. It's ironic when I scheme and I strive and I almost try, maybe don't take enough time to be quiet and be in touch with who I am and what is true, and maybe do what I think I should be doing. Mm-hmm. I've put a lot of money and effort and time into some really things that weren't genuinely from my heart, and I didn't find financial or emotional success. So those, and then also perfectionism, being hard on yourself. Mm-hmm. Those are things that have definitely, especially as an artist, I think that's a common obstacle when I became a photographer, I was brand new. I didn't even own a camera when I ordered business cards. I did not even know what a real camera was called. So
a leap of faith.
Yeah, it was a little crazy. And it worked out, but I didn't have the skills that matched the design in my head yet. So to be able to not be at the level, I'm never going to be, all the way where I want to be, but to be kind to yourself and not beat yourself up, because as a business owner, you make a lot of mistakes. So just being gentle to yourself, that's something I've had to learn a lot, and it's helped me be gentle to others too. So.
Yeah, definitely. Are there any specific moments that stand out to you where you were like, wow, this is really difficult. I just don't know how I'm going to get through this?
There's a couple. There's definitely, I had a mentor really early on who is now one of my dear friends. And that was one of the best things I ever invested in. But there was a time a few years in where I called her and was just, what am I doing wrong? I can't do this. And she said, you almost have to be willing to let it go. And it's funny because I think I don't know if that makes sense to people, but it was almost like I was trying too hard and holding it too tight. Mm-hmm. And she said, you have to be willing to let something go. And for some reason, I found freedom in that. And my work-life balance was really out of whack. And I think I've learned the longer I've been in business, the more I take care of myself and the more successful I've been. And then also I had my son. He was born 6 weeks early. And that was finding a new groove between being a mom and an entrepreneur. My doctor just looked at me. He's like, you need a nanny. Like, this isn't normal. He's like, you're not crazy. You just need a nanny. Because it was really hard. I was trying to do everything. And that was a big life adjustment. That's totally worth it. And I'm definitely finding a lot more balance. But that was a really hard, tricky season.
Yeah.
So
I think you bring up such a great point that we have to slow down and just kind of let things flow and just kind of know that they'll fall in place. I mean, to me, like control comes to mind. Like when we try to control too much while we're like we control it because we want to know what's happening. But when we let it go, like you said, there's so much more freedom in that.
I relate so much. That's the story of my business. In the beginning, yeah, I took such a leap of faith and I didn't have doubt. I just felt in my heart, go start a photography business. And I don't act like that now. I just followed my heart.
Yeah.
And it was, every step was provided. It didn't even feel like it was from me. And I actually wasn't a believer in God. And through that process became a believer in God. And then I started taking control and I had to like give it back and trust again, you know, so.
Yeah.
I mean,
it comes through in your work when, you know, you had the open house, when you opened your studio. I mean, we walked in and Jason said, well, I see we found our photographer. Like it just pours out of you. So whatever you're doing well. So yes. So talk to us a little bit about some resources that have helped you kind of get through these years in business and being a new mom and a wife and, you know, everything that you have on your plate.
I have really good friendships and I feel really blessed by that. That's a huge thing for me, is good, genuine friends. And to anyone that feels like they don't have that, I recommend just putting it out in the universe, just praying or just saying, like, being open to it. And because there's been seasons where we moved and I was like, am I gonna, you know, so that's been like a big thing for me, is great friendships, like a couple good friendships. I have had a mentor in the beginning, which she taught me so much. And you can learn, you know, I don't have a college degree in photography. So for me, having hands-on experience and a mentor and someone who's there to critique you, like, she saved me so much time and energy, and I paid her, but it was just learning from someone else's mistakes who's ahead of you is huge. But then also having fellow entrepreneurs who are both in similar fields or the same field. I have a woman in town. We are technically competition. Our businesses are very similar. We're such great friends, and it's just so nice having someone who's on, like, we're on each other's team. We can, and then my best friend from growing up is an entrepreneur, and being able to just know other people and you can talk, it's different being an entrepreneur. So it's nice when you can talk to people in similar situations. So.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of us have the same struggles, but, you know, depending on your business, it can bring a whole new level of uncertainties and challenges. So that's awesome that you have that support system, though. It definitely helps when people can relate to you. Yeah. So when I think of thriving and like using resources, I think specifically of entrepreneurs who are like creating a legacy and they're really impacting others. So when you hear legacy, like, what do you envision for yourself?
The first thing I picture in my mind is my heart, and just being in touch with who you are and continually trying to learn what my purpose is and to pass something on that is genuine from my heart, that I can shine light into people who I meet and just be there for them. I'm predominantly, a lot of work I do is with weddings. So just being able to support people and be there for people and just impact people in a good way as I walk each day. But also just getting deeper into like, what is my purpose on this earth and how can I pass that on and do good? I just really want to do good in the world, I guess. So.
That's awesome. And if I can't remember exactly what it was, but I think that there's like an additional offering or something that you do special for the bride and groom to be around their wedding that kind of sets you apart. And I could just be losing my mind, but I think I recall you doing something special that was really genuine.
My main heart, like my favorite part of my job is getting to know everybody. So we definitely, whether we go to dinner or get coffee, or do an engagement session, but I try to get to know each couple. And let's see.
I feel like it was something around engagement sessions. Like, do you offer that as part of your package or something? Like kind of like an added bonus?
We do a lot of engagement sessions, and a lot of people are blown away. It's funny because when I grew up, I wasn't very organized, but the longer I've been in business, I'm like more and more organized. And I walk with each couple and like talk about the logistics of their day. Usually they're hiring me a year in advance, but we start right away. And people are always like, I didn't know I hired you to do this. So we do the whole timeline together. And I just take a lot of time because I realized I care about their day and it's to my advantage and theirs that I do this. So I'm willing to go above and beyond. And I think that's been something that surprises people. And then I also write their family lists. It used to be a homework assignment, but it's really cool. I'm going to be with you on your wedding. So I actually want to learn about the family dynamics and who everybody is. And so we do things like that. And now after the wedding at our studio, you can come design your album with me. And it's a 3-hour process. And it's so cool. I really like it. So whatever I can do in my business to make it personal and really get to know you and not just treat you like a number, I try to do.
That's awesome. And I mean, talk about leaving a legacy. Like, you are there on one of the most important days of someone's life, and then, you know, creating an album for like a keepsake for them to have those memories to live on. So that, I just love it. And I love the personal touch that you give and how heartfelt it is. So that's awesome. So what other nuggets do you have for our listeners? You've given a lot about, you know, mindset and just coming from the heart and having a mentor. Is there any other specific nugget that you'd like to share?
I like what you said about that album, and that's true. That is important for a legacy. I think that's like skipped over today a lot. Is people are so digital, we forget about the value of like printing something. And what came to mind when you asked, my mentor kind of, when she first worked with me, she said, do you just want to service a ton of people for cheap, or do you want to like maybe be a little more money and really do a great job? What kind of question? I knew what I wanted. I was like, I want to make a lot of money. so I don't know. I thought that was an interesting like prerequisite question, and not sure where I'm going with this exactly, but I think I am in a space right now where I think it's nice to take a step back from your business and think, what's your heart? What's your purpose? And even though I've been in business for years, I'm continually thinking, let me zoom out for a second and what is the point of what I'm doing? Because you can just, I think those are the times where I strived. I was looking at everybody else and looking at how can I do this in a way that wasn't necessarily genuine to me. And when those albums, like to take 3 hours to make an album, it's kind of a very long time. But that's my heart. And to hear someone's voice when they have that in their hands and to know that they can look at that for generations, like, so that's something that's right for my business and for me. And I think sometimes need to take a step back and just really think, like, what's the point of what I'm doing?
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm hearing a few things in there, take time out, step back, do what's in your heart, what's true to you, not necessarily what's trending in the world. So I love it. So any other nuggets that come to mind for you?
I guess that's been the theme, really, is like, be you more and more. And for me also, it just feels silly, but I would tell entrepreneurs to take care of yourself and to be you. And honestly, there were seasons where I was so sleep deprived and I felt in my heart, all I need to do is take a nap right now. And I'm very, work really hard. So that didn't seem logical. But when I would take that nap, when I knew that's what I needed, I swear I'd wake up and I'd have $2,000 check just come in. And that sounds nuts. I'm not saying just sleep on your job all the time, but I think it's more important to take care of yourself. And last year I started playing pickleball, ironically, just a ton. And it sounds so weird, but that was the best January we ever had.
Oh, wow.
And I still work a lot. You'll find me at the office all the time. But the more I'm in touch with taking care of myself, being kind to myself, I feel like I'm able to pass that on to other people and be more focused. So not to be repetitive, but I think that would be ironically, my theme. My theme is just like, be gentle and be kind and purposeful.
Yeah. Have you ever read the book Micro Resilience?
No.
So I highly recommend. What you're talking about is like kind of doing those small sprints and understanding that you need to take a pause. So I think you'll resonate really well with that book.
That's awesome. I'm going to have to write that down. And I think books are so cool. That's an easy mentor. Like pick up a great book or good podcasts, things like that. Like what we fill our mind with during the day. Like while I'm editing, that's like a big resource for me is books, podcasts, what I read each day.
Yeah, absolutely. What you put in is so important. So awesome. Well, do you have any burning thoughts that might have popped up that you didn't share while we've been chatting?
I don't think so. Do you?
No, I am good. It's definitely been a pleasure chatting with you. And like I said, it's been awesome watching you grow and develop. And I look forward to continuing to see you thrive in the Frederick community and beyond. So thank you again for being our guest.
Thank you so much.
You are very welcome. And I'd also like to thank our sponsor, Stephen Lamar Moore, who produced the music for our podcast. So thank you again, Stephen. And thank you again, Kate.
Thank you so much, Casey. Have a good one.